The great Etan Thomas to kick off hour number two, former Q-Star, NBA veteran, joining us now as we look back on this game last night. And, Etan up 16 in the first half. I guess let's start there. What did you see that got this team out to that big lead? Jordan and I were talking about, defensive intensity. They played with some intensity early on. What did you notice from the first 10 minutes of the game or so?
I mean, this game kind of the tale of two halves.
Sure.
The first half looked great. Like you mentioned, at one point we were up 16 points. We were out rebounding Pitt. We caused 3 or 4 turnovers in the beginning part, maybe the first 5 or 6 minutes of the game. The Pitt crowd was actually booing their team when they went to a timeout. And you could hear it on the TV. So if you could hear it, that means they were really booing loudly. Not like a few people. And this is a team that's fighting to make the tournament, not the ACC tournament like us. They're fighting for the big tournament, and we were giving them the business in every aspect that first half. And then it kind of all fell apart the second half. It was literally the tale of two halves, a completely different half.
We were talking earlier in the show about the fact that, we knew going into halftime that they were in trouble, and they were still up by 7. And even early in the second half, when Syracuse was still winning the game, I thought to myself, I said this in the office last night, there's no way they're going to win this game. We could all see that it was starting to slip away. What can be done, Etan, with this team in those situations? Because it seems like they don't have a lot of answers right now offensively. When they need a bucket, who do they go to? What do they do? And defensively, they continue to struggle. So I guess when you're watching that second half last night, with a critical eye as an analyst, what would you like to have seen Syracuse do to produce a different outcome?
Well, I mean, for one, we got to knock down shots. I mean, JJ, to be honest, he struggled this game. What was he, 2 for 11, 3 for 11 from the three-point line?
Yep, 3 for 11, yeah.
Yeah, and it's so tough for me to see that many missed threes. I know this is the new style of basketball, but if your threes aren't falling, you got to do something else. And he's somebody who is definitely capable of scoring in different ways. So it doesn't have to be just a three-pointer. But JJ is he has big second halves of games, Not that that's his MO or anything, but he has come up big in the second half plenty of times this season. Unfortunately, it just wasn't one of those times. And, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he had a field goal until
garbage time, very end, yes.
Yeah, very, very end. He's too talented of a player to do that. And, Chris Bell, on the other hand, had a good game. He had a great game. If this is a game that he's played the way that we knew that he was capable of playing. He was knocking down his shots. He was playing with confidence. What did he hit, 7 or 8 threes by himself?
Yeah,
something
7.
like that.
Yep.
Yeah, so he looked really comfortable out there. And I know he missed a few, like the one he missed at the end of the first half. But overall, he was playing well. But it just was not clicking that second half. Everything just kind of fell apart. And I don't know what the rebounds were, but it looked like we were getting out-rebounded in the second half, which was clearly the absolute opposite of what was going on in the first half. So, like I said, it was just a tale of two halves.
Yeah, Syracuse had a big rebounding advantage in the first half. It was even by the end of the game. Etan, you mentioned the threes, which I know you're big on. You don't need to shoot the threes if you're not making them. Don't force them. But one thing Coach Autry said after the game, and I didn't even know what to make of it, was that he doesn't know what to do about the missed layups. SU finished the game 4 for 11 on layups, and that doesn't mean they're all open layups, obviously, but you'd think 4 for 11 is pretty bad. So, what do you attribute that to? Whose fault is that? How can you improve that? Is it the quality of the shot? Focus? Just what do you make of a team that's not effective on layups?
Well, I think Red also gave credit to the Pitt bigs who were playing good defense, kind of contributing to some of those layups missed. He said that sometimes we're going to have to pump fake or get into the man a little bit better or something like that to be able to capitalize on scoring that close to the basket, which I definitely agree with. But no, to your point, yeah, if you're not making threes or layups, it's tough. You got to make something. And no, I'm not a big fan of just jacking up threes. I'm not, especially when they're missing. Like, that's terrible basketball to me. It's one thing when your threes are hitting, you can't really say too much. But yeah, no, it was not as tough as the second half that we've had. Like, there's just a complete breakdown in every aspect. We can go through defense, we can go through, conversion, the 3-pointers, the inside, outside, everything else. Everything just kind of fell apart.
What do you make of Naheem McLeod's game? He's been providing some quality minutes when he was in there. Last night, he just, he went in and things went wrong right from the moment he got in the game. He had a couple of turnovers. He had a foul at the other end that turned into an and one. What do you see with him? Like, if you were coaching him, what is kind of like the next thing that he needs to do to add to his game to be somebody who, coaches can rely on?
Well, I know he got caught up on the pick and roll one time, and he was late, kind of moving his feet or something like that. And, it's tough. I love him in the zone. When we're in go to the zone and he's in the middle, I love that, But sometimes with this new era of basketball where he has to, really be laterally moving and things like that, it's a little bit tougher. But I still think he's shown how he can be effective in the game. Go back to the Duke game, go back to some of those other games where he really was, scoring in opportunities, being a force down in the middle. He was running the pick and roll, and they were lobbing it up to him. So we've seen what he can do. It's just nothing was a bad game for everybody. It's just the second half. It just, we can go down the list, but it just wasn't working. It wasn't clicking for everyone.
Well, you mentioned
Chris Bell. I got to give Chris Bell.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask, Etan. I was shocked that it took 6 minutes for Chris Bell to get back in the game in the second half. The counter argument is that he's been so much better coming off the bench. Maybe you don't want to mess up his flow by starting him, but did that catch you off guard? Because the first half, he was chasing down loose balls and offensive rebounds. He was hitting his shots. He was playing as well as we've seen him. I was shocked it took 6 minutes to get him back in the second half. Did that catch you off guard?
Well, yeah, that's a good point. And, somebody who is as hot as he was in the first half, I might have considered starting him, to be honest with you. But like you said, the position that they put him in, as far as coming off the bench, has kind of been what they've been sticking with. But no, it's an argument to be made that he could have easily started that second half, especially the way things were going, even if not starting him, bringing him in earlier. But no, it's something where, we could pick apart all of it, but honestly, the second half was atrocious. That's the way we can describe it. Now we got to kind of just, what do we have, 4 games left, 5 games left, something like that. And, these guys aren't giving up. And, Red keeps stressing that they're not giving up. I heard Coach Griff saying the same thing, and they're not giving up. They're going to keep fighting to the end.
What did you like about Bell's game aside from the fact that he was hitting shots? Because I know you've been excited to talk about him the whole time.
Oh, yeah, because, when you see somebody struggling the way that he's been struggling this season, and you know what they're capable of, and you then see them kind of break out and have a good game and show some of the things that we know that he can do, which is not just knock down shots, but the whole movement and the way that he was not looking kind of nervous. Because sometimes he looks a little bit, kind of shaky out there, you know what I mean? But he was playing with confidence, and it was great to see that. It's I don't want to say it was wasted on a loss or the second half, but it would have been so much better if we would have won the game, but it was great to see that from him. So I was happy for Chris Bell.
You almost yammed on somebody, too. He was real close.
Yeah. Etan, I would imagine as an alum, it bothers you probably what you're seeing. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I would imagine that, the last couple of years have not sit well with you and other alums. What would you like to see happen? What is the fix in your mind for, where this program needs to go here moving forward?
I mean, it's a tough position because this is what everybody is doing right now. It's kind of pointing the finger at someone. They want to point your finger at the coach, point the finger at the coaching staff, want to point the finger at the, this thing, the offense, the defense, the effort, the everything. I mean, when you lose that, the bottom line is we got to win. You know what I mean? So we got to put it together and win games. And, everybody's looking forward to this recruiting class that's coming in next year and the pieces that they're going to put together. And we're going to have to try it again next year. And as far as, everybody's calling for Coach Autry's head on a platter, they're just going to have to be patient. That's not going to happen this year. I don't think it is. Whether we make the ACC tournament or not, I don't think that Red is going to be fired this year. I know that I saw a whole article that was polling all these different Syracuse fans about who wants Red to be fired and who. That's exactly what Coach Boeheim was saying that now is the time to do. But I saw, a lot of fans are talking about it. I don't think it's going to happen this year. Now if we're at this point next year, then that's a different story.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to happen this year.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. All right, Etan, great stuff as always. Thanks for checking in. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll do it again next week.
Okay, sounds good. Have a good one, fellas.
All right, you as well. Etan Thomas joining us here on the program. And with that, we'll step aside. Phone lines open the rest of the way, 315-437-7644. We are back after this on ESPN.